Go away, son. I don't need you. Hey, it's Sue in the restricted section. Today I'm doing a review of A Planet for Rent by Yoss. Yes, he's so cool that he only has one name, like Cher. He also looks like a member of Motley Crue, so... This book is a sci-fi sort of dystopian novel about a world in which humans have basically screwed themselves over, and now these alien species use Earth as a tourist destination and just treat humans like dirt. And this book is translated from Spanish. The author is Cuban, and it's a critique of Castro's rule in Cuba. And that's pretty overt in the book. It's not real subtle. It's kind of, you know, Earth equals Cuba, humans equal, you know, the poor people in Cuba. But this book follows several different characters, and most of the characters are sort of loosely connected in some way. They all have sort of a common denominator. But there are a lot, I thought it would come together more in the end than it did. It sort of did, but some characters just never came up again after their chapter was over. That was one kind of negative thing for me about the book, is that it really, in some ways, almost seemed more like a collection of short stories or something about these characters, but like I said, some of them were connected and did come full circle, but yeah, some of them were just, you know, their chapter was over and they were never brought up again. Another negative about this book was that there were a lot of grammatical errors in it, and maybe that's because it was translated from Spanish, but it was just little small things, like there was a lot of instances where an S was left off of the end of a word. And it would kind of trip me up when I was reading, because I was like, did I read that wrong? What's going on? And then there was also one instance where there's a character named Frigga. At one point, they spell her name Frida with a D. And so I was like, is this a different what? But yeah, they just spelled her name wrong. So that was kind of annoying. It wasn't enough to, you know, make a huge difference or anything. And it did seem like they kind of came in like clusters. Like there'd be one chapter that had a lot of them, and then another chapter would have none. So I don't know. Someone needs to edit more closely, I guess. But on to more positive things. I really loved the world in this book. He did a really good job of sort of showing the structure. You know, there's certain alien species that are clearly the elite. They're, you know, the wealthiest species in the universe. And then, you know, there's humans at the bottom and then other species in between. Yeah, the way the world was set up actually kind of reminded me of the book A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, but only in that it's, you know, this union of alien species, and then humans are at the bottom. Like, that's kind of how the world works in A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet too. But in this book, it's much harsher. Humans are just really might as well be, you know, a bug under your shoe. Like, aliens do not give a shit about humans. And the goal for humans is to get off of planet Earth, because there's no opportunities for them there. They're, you know, treated terribly, they're poor, they don't have good medical care, you know, all of those things. So the goal for pretty much every character in this book, almost every character, is that they're trying to leave Earth somehow. And sometimes it's not always to go into a good situation, and they know that, but it's better than Earth. So, you know, that's obviously very similar to people trying to get out of Cuba. Another thing I liked about this book is that even though each chapter follows a different character, so each character really isn't in the book for very long, I still thought the characters were pretty well developed. I can't say that I formed much of an emotional attachment to any of them, but I think you really got to know the characters pretty well by the end of their little segment And I think this book also really highlighted this sort of every man for himself attitude, because there are characters in this book who screw other humans over to get off of Earth to help themselves. Because I think there's this hopelessness because these alien species are so powerful, and they could, and they have in the book in the past just wiped out. They wiped out an entire continent whenever humans wouldn't do what they wanted them to do, so it's a very hopeless situation. And so, it's kind of every man for himself. Yeah, so I thought, the book definitely makes a huge statement about the oppression and mistreatment of, lower class, or what's considered lower class citizens in Cuba and other countries that are under this kind of rule. I think it's pretty eye-opening to see it done in this way, because it seems so much more horrible, I think, to think that all of humankind is being mistreated this way and treated like dirt, because it's easy for someone, like myself living in America where I have a lot of opportunities, to not think about people in those other countries and to, in some ways, not even realize how bad it is, because, how could they treat them that badly? They can't, in this book, the high-class, wealthy aliens they literally don't give a shit about what happens to them. Some of the aliens use human bodies, use them as hosts to tour the planet, because their own alien bodies can't survive on, in Earth's atmosphere. So they use human bodies, but the humans are alive, and they use human bodies, and some of the aliens just don't give a shit what happens to the human body that they're in, and they will terribly use and abuse it, and sometimes kill the person whose body they're using. So, there's a lot of instances like that and examples where, you see clearly that these aliens don't care one bit about humans. And so it's really an eye-opener to see it that way, to see all of humanity treated that way instead of just the people on this one country far away. So overall, I really enjoyed the book. Like I said, I thought the characters were pretty well developed, the world was really well developed. Oh, also, fun fact, the author is in a metal band called Tenaz, if I pronounced that correctly. I don't know. He's the singer, and I checked out some of their music, and it wasn't too bad. It definitely sounded kind of like garage metal, And they have a video online. I'll go ahead and link it down below, but it's a super cheesy, But, that's part of the charm of metal videos, I think, because most of them are like low budget, pretty cheesy, and I kind of get a laugh out of some of them. Yeah, I'm a big fan of metal music in general, as you can probably see all the books about metal behind me. Yeah, the band wasn't too bad. So if you're a fan of metal, maybe check that out. So yeah, I would recommend this book definitely if you're into sci-fi. It was really interesting, or maybe if you're into politics, things like that. Yeah, definitely check this one out, I think. I enjoyed it. So if you've read this book, let me know what you thought about it. And if you liked this video, please subscribe to our channel and check out our other videos. And I'll leave information below where you can find us other places on the internet, and stay tuned for Megan's video, which will be up tomorrow. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!